people, 4,366, that's 73% of the total, were reached and asked to provide details of their recent close contacts. That's a small increase from 72% in the first week of operation. And similar to what we saw last week, it's very encouraging that 78% gave us this information within 24 hours of being asked to do so. We really appreciate and recognise everyone's swift response. Using that information, as you can see on the next slide, we were able to identify 44,895 people who had been in close contact with someone who tested positive. Of those, 40,690 people were advised to self-isolate, which is 91% of all the contacts identified. This is very similar to what we saw in the first week of operation, and again, this was done within good time. These statistics are encouraging. They demonstrate that we're making progress against a good starting point we outlined last week. Last time I spoke to you, I made a commitment that NHS Test and Trace would keep learning, improving and refining to become a high-quality service that all of us can depend on. In partnership with Public Health England and local government, we are right now protecting local communities from outbreaks. I'd also like to outline some of the steps we've taken that set us on that journey of continuous improvement. Firstly, we've changed the process of requesting tests. We've taken out the need to copy a 16-digit code between websites when a test is booked to make it easier for us, for all of us. Secondly, we're changing how our labs operate. We're changing shift patterns so that some labs are working overnight and some are working weekends to match when samples arrive for testing. And thirdly, we've connected people's test results to their GP records. And these improvements will continue. We will continue to work towards an app which forms part of the end-to-end service of NHS Test and Trace and enables people to engage with every aspect of the service. And I'd like to reiterate everything that the Secretary of State has just said in thanking the people who have been involved in developing and trialling the app to date, and in particular, the people of the Isle of Wight. We are truly grateful for your support. Finally, I'd like to take a step back from some of our operational changes and show you what NHS Test and Trace should mean to you if you ever need to use it. And I can't do this any better than by reading the words of one of our brilliant clinical contact tracers who shared their experience of contacting a lady who had tested positive for coronavirus and was nervous about what it meant for her and her family. In their words, she needed to hear a professional, calm and caring voice who was there to listen, advise and support. She needed to be reassured and hear that she was doing a great job caring for her daughter. And after we had finished, she told me that I'd made her burden feel lighter and that she wished we could speak every day. I've said before that NHS Test and Trace is a service for the public that works best as a partnership with the public. And to me, the work of our contact tracers shows us what a true partnership looks like. I want people to know that NHS Test and Trace will be there for them when they need it. And I want to reiterate what I said last week. If you have symptoms, a fever, a new continuous cough, or a loss or change in your sense of smell or taste, then testing is available. You can and must book yourself a test. If one of your children has a fever, stay at home and order a test. If NHS Test and Trace gets in touch with you to say you've tested positive, you should go online or call us on 119 if you don't have the internet and provide us with accurate, up-to-date information about your recent close contacts. And if you're one of those contacts, it's vitally important that you do what tens of thousands of others are already doing and self-isolate. Because in doing so, you will be taking the virus out of circulation. You'll be protecting your friends, your family, and the wider community from infection. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Baroness Harding. We'll now go to questions from the public and then to questions from the media thereafter. So the first question is from Luke in Cardiff by video.
Hello, good evening. Every year, thousands of students from different areas of the country come together in one place to start the university year. How is the government supporting universities and local councils to ensure that the influx of students in one town or city doesn't result in a local outbreak of the virus? Thank you.
Well, thank you, Luke. That is a great question. And of course, the work is ongoing now, led by the Department for Education, to make sure that we can do as much as we can to ensure a safe restart of universities in the same way that we're working towards the safe restart of schools in the autumn. And that's incredibly important work, both in terms of what happens inside the institution, but also, exactly as you say, when people go to university, they usually travel. And places like Cardiff, which of course has a brilliant university, in fact two, there are many students who go there. It's a really important point. It's something that the DFE is working very hard on. Thanks very much for your question, Luke. The next question is from Stuart in Birmingham. And Stuart asks, as a large number of people have been working from home during the lockdown period, is the government planning to pass laws that will make it easier for employees who wish to continue working from home to do so as lockdown is eased? Well, the number one thing I'd say, Stuart, is that working from home is absolutely recommended wherever it's possible. Of course, there are some industries in which it's just not possible, some jobs. But wherever it's possible, we recommend working from home. I think one of the big things that people have learnt from this crisis is the opportunity of working from home and how it can be effective. And thank goodness the technology is now readily available to make that so. So it's certainly something that I think will stay with us a long time after the crisis. Those Zoom calls or other technologies are available. I'm very happy to talk to the business department to ask whether there's laws that need to change given that big change in how people are using technology. I think we should take that away and look at it. But the best thing is, in the first instance, of course, people can work from home. Where people can work from home, they should do so, and businesses, employers should facilitate that. Thanks very much, Stuart. Great question. The next question is from Hugh Pym of the BBC. Hugh.
Thank you very much. You had said that the smartphone app would play a central role in testing and tracing. It's now been delayed. When do you think the app will be involved in identifying and tracing contacts?
Well, thanks, Hugh. We are working on it, is the answer. We're not going to put a date on it, I'm afraid, because I'm absolutely determined that whilst this technology can help, it's got to be working effectively. And the central point of test and trace is actually the fact that when you are identified as at risk, you then isolate, and asking people to isolate for 2 weeks is a big thing. And so I would not recommend an app unless I'm confident in it. I've explained, I hope, why the best parts of the two systems that we've been working on can be brought together. But I am confident that we will get there. We will put that cherry on Dido's cake.
A quick follow-up on another subject, if I may.
Sure.
More than 2 million people are shielding, and there have been reports in the last day or two about the scheme coming to an end at the end of July, based, it seems, on briefings to charities. Can you end the uncertainty and give people in that situation a proper indication of what is going to happen?
Well, Hugh, I know how sensitive this is to the 2.2 million people who are shielding and their families, and we've asked them to do something which is really, really big over the last 3 months, which is to stay at home almost entirely until recently. We put forward the clinical advice that it's okay to go out very carefully to exercise. We will be bringing forward the next steps very, very soon. But I don't want to go into any more detail because I want that to be done properly, and I want it to be done with the support of the charities who do so much to support those 2.2 million people. And so there will be a formal government publication, and we will write to every single member of that group to make sure that they know what it means for them. In the meantime, the advice remains to keep shielding, and the current programme and the end date of the programme is, of course, the end of this month. But before then, everybody will get an individualised letter from the NHS to explain what they need to do next. Thanks very much, Hugh. The next question is from Tom Clark of ITV. Tom.